Article 23 legislation back under the spotlight. Islamic State militants threaten to kill Japanese hostages. And 6 firefighters killed in Taiwan blaze. Good evening. Controversy abounds after a local deputy to the National People's Congress suggested that Hong Kong should implement the mainland's national security laws until it completes its own anti-subversion legislation. In response, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying says the administration currently has no plans to do so. And as Anne Owen-Fung reports, lawmakers from across the political divide have criticized the proposal.
The National People's Congress is expected to pass the amended national security laws in March. Stanley Ng, a local deputy to the NPC, proposed that the laws should also be adopted in Hong Kong in the form of an annex to the Basic Law. And this can be done before the Article 23 legislation, Ng suggests. Under Article 23 of the Basic Law, the SAR will enact laws on its own to prohibit acts of treason, secession, sedition and subversion. But such legislation efforts were shelved indefinitely following massive protests in 2003. Speaking ahead of the Executive Council meeting today, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying said he doesn't know the details of Ng's proposal. Leung also stressed that the government hasn't been considering the issue of adopting national security laws, while adding that there aren't any plans to pass legislations under Article 23. Secretary for Security Lai Tung-kwok echoed the CE's comment.
Article 23 of the Basic Law has a very clear guideline for the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region to enact the law. But up to now, we do not have any timetable to enact such a piece of law.
Meanwhile, pan-democratic legislators criticized Ng's proposal for undermining the one country, two systems policy.
I just find it very staggering for a member of the National People's Congress to make such a recommendation, which I think could be in breach of the Basic Law and also in breach of the central government's policy of one country, two systems.
Another legislator, Michael Tian, who is also a local deputy to the NPC, says Ng's suggestion is inappropriate.
In Hong Kong, we recognize only the Basic Law and our local legislation. This is what was given to us, and we must safeguard that.
Tian added that making such suggestions will only lead to negative reactions. Ng declined to be interviewed, saying that he doesn't have specific details for his plan yet. Owen Fung, TVB News.
Former Chief Executive Tung Chee-hwa has also waded in, saying it's only a matter of time. National security legislation will be implemented in Hong Kong. More on that from Stephanie Choi.
The former CE and current vice chairman of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference said today, according to the Basic Law, the central government has the power to introduce mainland laws to Hong Kong. Tung believes it's just a matter of time Article 23 national security legislation would be enacted.
I think the day will come when it will be necessary. I don't know when it is going to be because I'm not running Hong Kong. And I just have this feeling.
Speaking to the press for the third time in 4 months, Tung also praised Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying's latest policy address. The address is rich in content and has a clear vision, he said. This shows how closely the Hong Kong government listens to the people's opinion, he added. When asked whether the CE's criticisms of a student publication by the University of Hong Kong represented an attack on free speech, Tung said he agrees with Leung. The students' views are worrying, he said, explaining that the country's sovereignty should not be violated and that national security must not be compromised. We mustn't let our guard down, Tung stressed, adding that although people are entitled to different views, they must be responsible for what they say. Leung has criticized the publication for its views on self-determination. And on political reform, Tung called on the people of Hong Kong to remain objective and to bear in mind the interests of the SAR so that universal suffrage could be implemented in 2017. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
Overseas, Islamic State militants have issued a video online threatening to kill 2 Japanese hostages unless a $200 million ransom is paid within 72 hours. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who's on a visit to the Middle East, has not indicated if the ransom would be paid. Speaking with a